Good day to you, my friends, and welcome once more to the time between times, a time of stories. Things are still hard, things are still dark. The world is a strange place. But today, just for a few moments, set that aside. Sit back and enjoy a tale traditionally told. One of the most famous tales in all of Wales. Enjoy this and keep this time. Let your mind wander. Let your mind relax. Let yourself be lost in the realm of stories at the time between times. My name is Owen Staton and I'm a storyteller. So sit back and join me at the time where it is neither night nor day, but the sun is gone and the sky is grey. The time when the veil between our world and the fairy world is wafer thin. So thin that for just a few moments you can reach into their world and they can reach into ours. Now is a time of stories. Now is a time that people see lights in the sky. Now is the time of fairies. And now is the time of dreams. For that is what this tale is all about. So welcome. Although far away we can hear the howl of wolves, we can hear the growl of bears, we know we are safe here in the time between times. So let me tell you of the tale of Macsen Wledig, and what a tale it is. Many, many years ago, when the world was young, there lived a great emperor of Rome called Macsen. Macsen was the wisest emperor that Rome had ever known. He was well respected. His people loved him. And he was wise, and he was brave, and he was true. And he loved nothing more than to hunt with all his warriors, his other kings, his friends, the people of Rome. And he would ride out through the streets of Rome, and all the people would cheer when he went out on his hunts. And on this day, many years ago, that's exactly what he did. Riding through the streets to the cheers of his people, he and his kings went out into the hills around the Roman city. And there the sun shone. And there the animals were hunted. And there Macsen grew tired. So, forming his shields in a circle, he lay underneath them and shielded from the sun, and was soon fast asleep. Only the neighing of the horses and the movements of his men around him to disturb him. And Macsen started to dream. The sun started to fall, the time between times was strong, and Macsen lost himself in a land of dreams. In this land, he saw a mountain as high as the sky, with snow covering peaks. He saw a great land full of plains and forests, followed by a city as which he had never seen before, even more so than Rome itself. Then he saw a small sea filled with ships, and one ship with a golden brow that went over and over the waves, until it came to an island. In that island he saw a port, and then great rivers that rushed and roared through the land. And on the west of that island, he saw great mountains stretching to the sky, again covered in snow, and eagles circling around these mountains. And then a small sea, crossed by smaller boats, and then a little island. And on that island a great fortress, with golden towers that shone in the starlight. And in that fortress, two men playing chess, and then on a golden throne, the most beautiful maiden he had ever seen in all his life. In his dream he stepped forward to speak to her at the bottom of the steps that led to her throne, and was about to open his mouth when bang! One of the shields that was shielding him from the sun fell upon him and awoke him. Macsen was distraught to find that this was just a dream. And that's all he could think about. And when he went back to Rome, that's all he could think about. So he brought all his servants to him and said, I had a dream, and in that dream I saw the most beautiful maiden I had ever seen. I wished to meet her If anyone can find this maiden and bring her to me, they will have their weight in gold awarded to them. All his servants went out to find her, but none could, except for one called Amlin, who came to Macsen and asked him exactly what had happened in his dream. Macsen described the route he took, almost soaring like an eagle over the lands, until he came to the great fortress. So Amlin followed the pictures of Macsen's mind and travelled through the lands he described. He rode on his horse until he found the highest mountain, which felt like the highest mountain in the world, across the great plains until he saw the great city, through the great city until he saw the golden ship. He crossed the sea until he came to the land full of roaring rivers, and travelled to the west until he came to the small sea, always following what Macsen had told him, until at last he found the fortress, stretching to the sky just as the king, the emperor, had said. He walked through the great wooden doors into the great hall, bigger than anything they had even seen, even in Rome. And there, just like Macsen said, were two men playing chess. Their names were Cannon and Gadlan. And they looked at Amlin as he entered, but he did not look back at them. For there upon the throne, just like he had said, was the most beautiful maiden he had ever seen. Her face shone like the sun itself. Her name was Ellen, and she was a princess of Cymru, of Wales. Amlin stood in front of the throne, bowed deeply, and told her exactly why he was there. That the emperor far away wished to meet her, far away wished to marry her. And Ellen said to him, if he wishes to marry me so much, let him come here to meet me. Although he had travelled many, many miles, over many, many months, Amlin immediately jumped back on his horse and rode all the way back to the gates of Rome, till he came to Macsen once more and told him exactly what Ellen had said. Macsen agreed. So leaving Rome behind, he travelled the route of his dream, and it was even more beautiful than he imagined, as he crossed plains and seas and oceans and rivers, until he came to the great fortress himself, the Emperor of Rome, who had travelled halfway across the world. And there he met Ellen, who fell in love with him as well. So happy was Macsen that he meant to leave, but could not, and stayed in Cymru for 7 years. 7 years that were the happiest of his life. He travelled through the roaring hills, the great streams, and met the loveliest people whose language was filled with song, all the time with his wife beside him. One day, he received a message from far away in Rome that said he had been gone so long that another emperor had taken his place, and were he to return to Rome, he would be slain instantly. Macsen decided that this would not be so, and taking Cannon and Gadian and Ellen, he returned to Rome. There at the head of a great army, they fought the armies of Rome, but could not gain entry to the city, until the two Welsh princes decided to use ladders to climb the walls in the darkest of night, and Macsen's army overran the city, and he became Emperor of Rome once more. With Ellen by his side, he became known as Macsen Wledig, and it was always said, although he was one of the greatest emperors of Rome, one of the happiest, one of the wisest, one of the truest, one of the bravest, his heart was always in that land across the sea, with the great mountains that eagles circled, with roaring rivers, and a people who spoke as if their language was filled with song. And when he died, it is said that he was taken to Cymru, and there he was buried beneath a hill, with his beloved wife beside him, for she died not long after of a broken heart. And there they remain to this day, the Roman Emperor lying somewhere in deepest, darkest Wales. Thank you ever so much for joining me once again at the Time Between Times. Please like and subscribe if you're enjoying the videos. And thank you ever so much to all of you who leave nice comments for me. It makes me feel so happy that I can take you away and out of yourself for just a few moments to listen to tales, some of which have not been told for centuries. Join me again next time. And in the meantime, diolch yn fawr iawn. I hope you enjoyed the tale of Macsen Wledig.